Hey, what's up, you guys? So I'm here today with another Casio Edifice review. Now, last year I reviewed this Casio Edifice EFV-100D, and I really thought this was a good price point if you're just looking for like an everyday quartz watch. It's very attractive, and I still have it, so that's a sign that I must really like it. And someone in the comments mentioned that there was this dive-style cousin of this watch. Now, this is the Casio Edifice EFV 120DB 1AV. It's quite the title. But you can see it's kind of very similar to this one on the right. They both kind of have that black and gold or black and yellow styling, and they have the same quartz movement in both of them. So I like this one so much, I thought I'd pick this one up to review it and kind of see how the two stand up next to each other and which one I actually prefer. So we'll get to that at the end, but let's run down the specifications. And then, of course, I'll give you the pros, the neutrals, and the cons. So this guy measures in at 41.5 millimeters on the case diameter. It's a little bit tricky to measure because there is this crown guard, and then to keep the case symmetrical, they put a crown guard kind of style on the other side. So the case overall is symmetrical, but it does kind of make it misleading on how big the case is. But if you measure from here to here, it's about 41.5. It's 47 millimeters lug to lug. 11 millimeters thick. It has a 21 millimeter lug width, which will make strap changes difficult. Generally, you're looking for an even number, 18, 20, 22, but this one does have 21. It tapers down, full brushed, to 18 millimeters, then back up to 20 millimeters on the clasp. You have the edifice kind of engraved in and their logo. It's just double push to point. You just have pressed metal here. But one of the things I do like about this clasp is you have 4 micro positions, so you will be able to get a good fit on this. It just has split pins for sizing, and this does have hollow end links. It's a little jingly jangly, but for the price you're paying, it's a serviceable bracelet. You have a push-in back for 100 meters of water resistance. You have this plastic 120 click bezel. It's a countdown style bezel, more on that later. Applied indices, sword hands, and a date. The hands are the only part of the watch that feature lume. Unfortunately, there's no lume on any other part of the watch, so when you do look at the loomed hands, it's difficult to use because you have no orientation on which way the watch is facing. The lume also is not that impressive, so not a selling point of the watch. This is powered by the Casio module 5507 that's accurate to plus or minus 20 seconds a month and has a 3-year battery life. Moving on to the crown is actually signed. They have the Edifice logo in the crown, but it's just a push-pull crown. It's not screw down like its brother over there. It has 2 positions. The first position would allow you to change the date. The second position would stop the time and let you set the time. The dial is a black. It's not as sunbursty as its brother. It's more matte black. And then you do have the Edifice Casio at the 12 o'clock position with their logo, and it's advertising the 100 meters of water resistance in yellow at the 6 o'clock position. Finally, you have a chapter ring. The indices are cut into the chapter ring, which is very interesting. You have yellow hash marks for the minutes, and then there's kind of like a white big block for each of the hours in the chapter ring itself. And finally, rounding out the whole black and yellow theme, the second hand is yellow from the center point all the way to the chapter ring. And then it has a counterbalance that is white. So, what are the pros, neutrals, and cons of this watch? The pros is it's very legible. This is a really easy dial to read, and it's visually interesting. You have a lot going on with the for example, the indices at the 12 o'clock position. If you look, the top is actually, it's got like a brush pattern on it, while the edges, they're kind of beveled edges, have high polish. So you can see as I move back and forth, the indices catch and play with the light, and it makes it very interesting to look at. And you'll notice also on the hands there's high polish, and there is a bevel, so one side slopes down and the other side slopes the other way, so you can see the way that catches light as well. It's a really affordable quartz piece. I think this is about $80 MSRP, but if you wait and look for a sale, and then if you can kind of apply like a 15% coupon on top of that, you get it for about $50, which I would say you're definitely getting your money's worth on that. The neutral, it is a quartz watch. I don't have any problem with that, but some people prefer mechanicals. The crown is only push-pull, but on this kind of, instead of a screw down, but on this kind of like dive style watch, I don't mind. I'm not taking this in the water. The push-pull crown doesn't bother me. On the minus end, the loom leaves much to be desired. You're not really going to get very usable loom here. The bezel is strange. For one, it's plastic, which doesn't really bother me. You don't really notice that much. But it's this countdown bezel. So on a normal dive style bezel, you'd put this pip where the minute hand is, and then you would see how much time has elapsed as the minute hand moves around the dial. On this one, you actually move the number to the minute hand that you want to time. So we're going to go ahead and put 15 minutes, the 15 minute on the bezel, we put that where the minute hand is. And then when we get all the way down to this yellow pip, we know that 15 minutes have elapsed. So you can use it as a timer. Obviously, it's not going to ding or give you any indication that the time has elapsed, but you can use it for timing things in that way, and that's what the countdown timer bezel does. I put it as a negative. I would rather just have a dive style bezel on there. I think they're more useful and more visually like appealing. You kind of have this weird a third of this whole bezel just says countdown with the arrow, but it does kind of give it this busy look. If you like, for example, the Seiko Flightmaster, if you like a lot of things happening, text and a visual interest, I guess it won't bother you. For me, it's not really my preference. The other two minuses are the 21 millimeters lug width. That's going to make it really difficult to get straps. They just don't come as common in the odd numbered 19 or 21 millimeter sizes. You're generally looking for 18, 20, 22. Those are the most popular sizes. And then finally, the symmetrical case. It's kind of strange they did this protrusion on the left side to make it symmetrical with the crown guards on the right. I think if you just covered this up without that protrusion, I think it actually looks better, but it is what it is. So I don't like it, but maybe you like the symmetry. And that's all really I have to say about this guy. I will put it on the wrist and get a wrist shot, and then also give you a loom shot. And then I'll give you my overall impression. So there's a loom shot with the Orient Ray on the right there, has really good loom. The Notice Sector Dive on the left, pretty decent loom. And then the Casio in the middle. You can see they only loomed the hands, so it does make it difficult to know what time it is if the watch is turned. You don't have anything to orient yourself like with the pips on the other two watches. So let me get it on the wrist and show you how it looks. So there it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. You can see the 47 millimeter lug to lug doesn't overhang. I think this would look great on 6.5 inch wrist, and then as far north as you want to go from that. If I had to choose between this one and the one I reviewed last year, I think I do prefer this 40 millimeter version without the bezel, the dive bezel. This one is kind of busy looking. I do like it. I think I would have really liked this watch if I hadn't discovered this one, but between the two, I really like this one. If I was going to go with the dive style, I actually think I would go with the blue one over the black and the yellow, and that's available. I can have a link to that. It says this is a slightly different model number. So let me know what you guys think about this Casio kind of dive style edifice, and like always, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys next time.